My name is Christy Leaver, and this is Apollo. He's my co-therapist. He is in training, but probably already as good or better therapist than I am. And he's only 5 months old, but he weighs a good 45 pounds already, so he's going to be a bit of a bruiser. My clients love him, and that's part of the reason for having him here is, a lot of the, not only just the children, but adults too. It's really hard to treat a child individually and then place them right back in the system where things were struggling. And so we have to recognize that a lot of times these kids are displaying behaviors that are inconsistent with healthy development, and yet we don't want to blame the child. We don't want to say there's something intrinsically wrong with the child. The child's behavior is a manifestation of the pathology in their environment. And it is not uncommon that we have kiddos who are being alienated by parents who as children themselves were alienated, who were children of parents who themselves were alienated. It's just, I see it time and time again. There's always some trauma behind it. It really is, it plays out to be a very insidious form of child abuse that needs to be recognized and needs to be addressed and treated. And our courts need to understand it, and our judges need to be able to have the confidence to make those tough decisions. Either the targeted parent will call me themselves, and share their pain and their story and seek out help, and how might I be able to help them reunify with their child who's been alienated from them. Or more often these days, referrals come from the court, either attorneys who are familiar with my work or judges who are also familiar.
As a friend of the court or the guardian, that's my job, is to kind of look out for the kid's best interest, but I always take it, the kid's best interest a lot of times to me gets tied into what is best for the family as a whole. So,
because you can't just treat the child in isolation, right?
You can't just treat the child, especially if what the child is going through is a direct relationship to what their parents are going through. High conflict divorce, kids struggle. So, you've got to really take that into consideration. And, there's a lot of different parts, but you can't fix the kids without fixing the family.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. And that's why I think, having a therapist that can come in and do that or assist with that and provide me ways that I can help the child with stuff, and a lot of times help the court understand what the child is going through. It's very helpful to try to resolve that situation.
My goal is always to work myself out of a job as efficiently, quickly, and safely as I can. And so, regardless of what client comes through my door and for what reason, that's kind of my goal. They'll have their own, but I love my job and I feel like I belong here and I'm doing what I was made to do. And one of the biggest privileges that I have in the work that I do is helping families heal. And it's phenomenal, the privilege to be able to witness that and to have a small hand in it. And just a small hand, because there's so many parts and pieces that have to come together to do this work to help families move along and move forward and heal. Kids just needed to have the opportunity and have those barriers removed. That's what I find rewarding, because I know that, when that child heals, they heal not only themselves, but they heal their children and their children's children, and on and on. So I love to think about the ripple effects for the work that I do, and not just in repairing the relationship that has been ruptured between the child and the targeted parent, but I also oftentimes get to work with the alienating parent, and sometimes it's a naive alienation, and sometimes it's a very purposeful, manipulative, coercive manipulation. But regardless, there's progress that can be made there too, and healing there too. And again, kids need both parents. So when there is a protective removal, it's temporary, right? Because we want to provide the services necessary for that alienating parent to be able to do the work to heal, to then reintroduce that caregiver back into the child's life too, and to let their two halves come back together for a whole.